Yoo-hoo! Anybody home? Big bad vampire out here.
Damon Salvatore isn't just a popular character, he's a cultural blueprint. He's unpredictable, seductive, destructive. And somehow, that very instability made him one of the most compelling characters on television for nearly a decade. From the moment he appears on screen in The Vampire Diaries, he shifts the tone completely. What started as a supernatural teen drama becomes something darker, more volatile, and far more complicated. But Damon isn't just a standout character in one show. He represents a larger pattern that shows up again and again in fiction, in celebrity culture, even in our personal lives. He's the kind of character we don't just watch, we project onto, crave, excuse, and defend. And that's where things get interesting. If you've seen my first video on Liam Payne and the hidden emotional cost of public image, you already know that this channel is about more than media commentary. It's about pulling apart the emotional architecture between the stories and the people we obsess over, why we resonate with certain narratives, and what that says about us. This is my second video, and I wanted to dig into Damon Salvatore because he's one of the most enduring examples of a trope we can't seem to quit. The beautifully broken man. The one we root for despite or because of his damage. And to understand that, we need to take a step back. It's 2009, Twilight is dominating pop culture, the Team Edward versus Team Jacob dynamic is everywhere. Then, The Vampire Diaries premieres and instantly draws a similar line, Team Stefan or Team Damon. The framing is familiar. Stefan is safe, gentle, emotionally responsible. Damon is dangerous, unpredictable, and emotionally chaotic. It's the classic good guy versus bad boy tension, a formula we've seen countless times. But The Vampire Diaries adds something else. As the show progresses, we realize both Stefan and Damon are complex, both are flawed, and the choice between them always seemed to say more about the viewer than the story itself. That's what fascinates me. Why do so many people, regardless of gender or background, gravitate towards the Damon type? Why do we keep casting chaos as romantic and mistaken unpredictability for passion?
Anyone, anytime, anyplace.
This video isn't about choosing sides. It's not about canceling Damon or idolizing him. It's about understanding why he works, what emotional dynamics he triggers, and why those dynamics follow us long after the show ends. Because Damon isn't just in The Vampire Diaries. He's in fanfiction, he's in dating apps, he's in the emotional wreckage of people we couldn't let go of. So, if you've ever felt pulled towards a character who promises love and brings destruction, if you've ever been fascinated by damage, by redemption arcs, or by why we believe we can change someone who doesn't want to be changed, this is the place. Let's begin. I'll be honest with you, I first watched this show as a teenager, and like a lot of people my age, I fell hard for Damon. The danger, the confidence, and the chaos, it all felt so romantic. But then, I rewatched it years later as an adult, after studying psychology. And suddenly, it hit completely differently. It wasn't just a love story anymore, it was a case study for me. Damon Salvatore didn't seduce us with love. He seduced us with suffering. Because pain is central to who he is. It's the reason he drinks, it's the reason he lashes out. Pain is his excuse, his armor, and it's the thing that makes people fall even harder for him. But Damon doesn't process pain, he performs it. There's a difference. When Damon is hurting, he doesn't talk about it to get better. He talks about it to prove a point, or to punish someone, or to get someone to stay. There's always an audience, always a subtext. And usually, someone who's going to feel just guilty enough to give him another chance. Think about how often he delivers those moody little speeches while pouring a drink, or staring off into the middle distance, He says things like, "I'm bad, Elena, I'm bad for you." And then he looks tortured. And then somehow it becomes your job to comfort him. That's not vulnerability, that's strategy. He gives you just enough pain to make you feel sorry for him, but not enough truth to actually change. It's the illusion of honesty, not the real thing. And what's wild is he knows he's doing it. Damon is incredibly self-aware. He knows when he's manipulating. He knows when he's being dramatic. That's part of his charm, remember? He knows he's the villain. He tells you he's the villain. He practically wears it as cologne. And then, when he breaks down crying over what he's done, you're already prepped to forgive him because he warned you. It's a classic tactic. I told you I would hurt you, so now that I did, don't act surprised. And the show plays along. How many times have we seen Damon do something horrific? Kill someone, betray someone, emotionally wreck someone, and then minutes later, the camera cuts to him alone with a drink, looking wrecked with some emotional music playing. The narrative wants you to forgive him. It's practically begging you to. But let's slow down here, because this isn't just about Damon. It's about why that tactic works, not just on Elena, but on us, on the audience. We're taught, by fiction and by culture, that a man in pain is deep, that if he's hurting, it means he has a good heart underneath it all. That anger is just love gone sour. That cruelty is just a cry for help. And Damon plays that role to perfection. He's the hurting man, the haunted man, the man who keeps people at arm's length, because he's been burned before. The one who acts out so you'll chase him, the one who tells you to leave while staring at you like he hopes you won't. We've seen this before, maybe in other shows and even in real life. And it's a trap. When someone performs pain like this consistently, theatrically, they're not asking you to understand them. They're asking you to absorb them, to take responsibility for their pain, and to be the emotional caretaker, and to tell them again and again, "You are not a monster." And that's exactly what Elena ends up doing for most of the series. And it's what a lot of viewers end up doing too. Because he's not just evil, he's hurt. And we're conditioned to think that if someone is hurt, they deserve another chance. But here's where things get complicated. Because sometimes Damon is genuinely vulnerable. Like when Rose dies and he breaks down. Or when he tells Elena he loves her, then compels her to forget.
I love you, Elena. And it's because I love you that I can't be selfish with you.
Or when he spirals because he knows he's not good for her. There actually is something real in him. That's what makes this whole thing so confusing. The performance of pain is layered over a real foundation of trauma and loneliness. He is broken and has been abandoned. And he does believe that no one will ever love him for who he really is. But the difference between real vulnerability and performative pain is what you do with it. Real vulnerability leads to growth. Damon's pain leads to repetition. He hurts, he acts out, he apologizes, he hurts again. He gets forgiven, and nothing really changes. And yet, he still gets the girl, he still gets the fans, and gets redemption. So what are we supposed to take from that? Well, here's one uncomfortable truth. A lot of us mistake performative pain for emotional depth, and chaos with complexity. If someone is a mess, we assume it means they feel deeply. If they feel deeply, we assume that they must be good, deep down. But that's how toxic relationships start. It's how we end up staying with people who don't change, because we're too caught up in how much they seem to hurt to notice how much they're hurting us.
So things aren't easy and you're just gonna push me away now? That's what you do, Damon. You think that you don't deserve something, so you ruin it.
Damon Salvatore is not one-dimensional villain. He's layered. He is compelling, sometimes even noble. But he also teaches us something important. Just because someone shows you their pain doesn't mean they're ready to heal it. And if they're not healing it, they are probably using it. So we've seen how Damon uses pain like a performance. But what happens when that performance works? Let's talk about what comes next. Because once you learn how to gain sympathy, the next step is learning how to turn that sympathy into power. Damon isn't tragic, he's persuasive. He's the guy who kisses you right after hurting you, who says, "I'm toxic, I will ruin you," but says it with a look that makes you think maybe ruining you would be worth it. And when he says things like, "You want a love that consumes you," he's not asking a question, he's planting an idea.
You want a love that consumes you. You want passion and adventure and even a little danger.
He doesn't just want to be forgiven, he wants to be understood on his terms. He wants to be the exception to your boundaries. And slowly, without even noticing, people around him start changing their morals to accommodate him. Let's look at Elena. In season 1, she's clear on who Damon is. He's violent, reckless, not someone she can trust. But by season 4, she's excusing his worst behavior. He kills people, he's struggling. He lashes out, he's protecting the people he loves. And the show backs this up, rewrites history, and starts painting Stefan as the safe choice, the boring one, while Damon is portrayed as the real one. And people just ate it up. And it's actually a psychological pattern, not just a shift in this plot. When someone mixes charm with pain and a little bit of danger, our brains get confused. We start rationalizing it. We start thinking, he's only like this because he cares so much. Or how tragic it is that no one understands him like I do. And if you've ever found yourself defending someone's behavior to your friends while privately wondering if they're actually good for you, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This is textbook emotional manipulation. Not always conscious, not always malicious, but it's something real. And Damon excels at it. He flips the script constantly. One second he's telling you he's the bad guy, the next he's guilt-tripping you for believing him. He'll say, "You think I'm a monster," and then wait for you to say, "No, you're not." That's not accountability, that's bait. And once you start justifying his behavior, even just a little, he has you. Not physically, but emotionally. Because now you're part of his story. You've seen his soft side. You've forgiven him. Now, if he goes dark again, it's your emotional investment that's on the line. That's how toxic dynamics work. You get caught in the cycle. Damage, apology, intimacy, and then repetition. And the more intense it gets, the more real it feels. That's the trap, not just for Elena, but for us. And the thing is, people like Damon don't always intend to be toxic. He genuinely believes he's unlovable, which makes him act out, which leads to rejection, which then confirms what he already believed. He's trapped in a loop. But the people who love him get trapped with him. And here's where we bring it back to the viewers. Why do we root for Damon, even when he crosses lines we would never tolerate in real life? Because he's charming. Because it's a show about vampires, maybe. But maybe because he shows just enough remorse to stay on our good side. Because the show keeps giving him emotional backdoors. And because we've all been taught that love is supposed to be hard. That real love looks like pain and sacrifice and endless forgiveness. But darling, that's not love, that's survival. Okay, let's take a look at one of the most revealing scenes in Damon's entire arc. It starts in season 5, episode 9. In episode 9, Damon admits to Elena that he's been killing members of the Whitmore family for decades, one by one, in cold, calculated revenge for what the Augustine Society did to him. It was, I think, in the 50s when they used to torture him, along with his friend Enzo. I really liked his story with Enzo, but let's not get into it right now. So, after he admits that to Elena, it's shocking. He's been killing innocent people just for being Whitmores. And it's one of the first times in the show we see Damon confess something truly monstrous and not even pretend to be sorry about it.
How many Whitmores have you killed?
Since 1958? I lost count.
So then, in the next episode, Damon tells Elena that he can't change. And more importantly, that he doesn't want her to change for him.
I'm bad, Elena. I am bad for you. So why wouldn't you have run away from me as far as humanly possible?
Because I love you, Damon.
So he breaks up with her. That's very gentlemanly of him, isn't it? It's framed as selfless, tragic, but it's also a deflection. He doesn't want to face what loving him might cost. So he preempts the rejection. He paints himself as the inevitable villain and leaves before she can prove otherwise. So there's a whole lot of things happening in the show right now, so I'm just gonna focus on this arc specifically. So by episode 12, Damon tries to get Elena back, telling her that he messed up. But Elena was actually Catherine, who has secretly taken over Elena's body. She rejects Damon. This was Catherine, okay? But Damon thinks it's Elena. After that, he spirals. He decides that he has to go back to his evil self, and he finds Aaron Whitmore, who was Elena's best friend. I don't know when this even happened, but he was her best friend, and he finds him trying to escape town, and he chooses to kill him, along with Enzo, as a revenge. But he doesn't just lash out this time. It was a choice. He does it calmly, cleanly, because he thinks he's lost Elena for good. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't impulse. This was self-punishment disguised as cruelty. In episode 16, Damon admits to the real Elena this time that he killed Aaron because he thought that she had broken up with him. They fight, that famous viral fight, and they admit how much they depend on each other. And even after all the lies, the violence, and the betrayal, they end up in bed. Because they can't help what they feel. And here's the thing, the narrative tells us it's passion. That this is some kind of intense, dysfunctional, but meant to be love story. But the subtext is louder. This man just murdered someone, blamed it on his heartbreak, and then got his girlfriend back through a combination of guilt, intimacy, and emotional overload. This arc is one of the clearest examples of what happens when someone confesses their damage without taking accountability for what it does to other people. It's not just about Damon's pain, it's about how that pain becomes a tool, a justification, a story he tells to make himself the victim of his own violence. And the audience is invited to forgive him. No compassion for the person he killed. No one even cared about Aaron, because he was written to be a very forgettable character. Instead, you end up feeling bad for Damon, because the music swells, lighting softens, and the chemistry is electric. This scene is so important because it captures Damon's entire emotional strategy. Do something violent, apologize just enough, make it intimate, and then hope you forget.
You screwed up, Damon. Again.
Thank you.
You put me in a position where I have to defend you. Again. Where I have to bend my morals. Again. Where I have to go against every single thing that I believe in. Again. Because I love you.
Then stop loving me.
I can't.
And Elena wants to forget, because if she doesn't, she would have to face what loving Damon really costs. This is how a lot of people stay in toxic relationships. Not because they're weak, but because when someone you love mixes violence with vulnerability, it scrambles your compass. You keep thinking, but I have seen the good in him, and that memory becomes your reason to stay. So when we say Damon turns charm into control, this is what we mean. This moment. This kiss, this rewriting of consequences as connection. and the show rewards it. They stay together, the moment fades, the murder is rarely mentioned again, because in the Vampire Diaries, and in a lot of pop culture, what matters most isn't morality, it's magnetism. So, was Damon Salvatore the villain or the hero of the show? Let's be honest, there are entire Reddit threads debating this, and they still haven't reached a consensus. Because Damon is both, and neither. And that's the whole point. Let's start with the obvious. Damon has done terrible things. Unalived a lot of people without hesitation. Starting with Lexi, who was Stefan's best friend for centuries. He also killed Jeremy, even if he didn't stick, Aaron Whitmore, and countless others. He compelled and abused Caroline. He slept with Elena's mother. Before he met Elena, yes, but come on, it's still gross. This isn't about nitpicking every sin, it's about being honest. If we met Damon in real life, we would be terrified of him. And yet on this show, he's not just forgiven, he's celebrated. However, Damon isn't just a chaos engine, he also saves people. And sometimes, he does it even when no one's watching. He's protected Stefan time and time again, even when he claimed to hate him. He has sacrificed his own happiness for Elena's more than once. He helped save Bonnie's life, and then stayed behind in a hell dimension just to keep her company. No romantic reward, no audience, just quiet loyalty. He turned Enzo's humanity back on, he risked everything to save his friends during the Hellstone arc, and in the final season, he chooses self-sacrifice over survival, finally proving to himself, not just others, that he can be more than his worst moments. So no, Damon is not all bad, not even close, and maybe that's why we keep coming back to him. I think Damon has a textbook disorganized attachment pattern. He craves closeness, but doesn't know how to feel safe in it, so he swings between pulling people in and pushing them away. And when someone finally gets too close, he sabotages it. Not because he doesn't care, but because he doesn't believe he can be cared for. So let's dive into his relationships, because that's where Damon reveals who he really is. And surprisingly, the most important one isn't romantic. It's his brother. Damon and Stefan's relationship is messy, competitive, and codependent. They betray each other constantly and still come back. Damon pushes Stefan away, tries to destroy him, even resents him. But when Stefan is in danger, Damon always shows up. Every single time. And the rare moments Damon actually grows are usually because of Stefan, not Elena. Their bond is rooted in guilt, loyalty, jealousy, and love, all tangled together. And you could argue that the show ends not with a love story, but with a brother story. And maybe that's what the Vampire Diaries was really about all along. Then there's Elena. Damon's relationship with Elena is intense, messy, and obsessive, and at times deeply moving. She sees something in him that no one else does, and he falls for her because she makes him want to be saved. But their love story is not without consequences. And underneath the dysfunction of their relationship, there's a strange kind of honesty. Damon knows he's not good for her, but he tries to be anyway. Not for applause, not for the girl, but to be better. And then there's Bonnie. Their relationship is the slowest burn. It starts with pure hatred, mutual disgust, but over time, something changes. They survive things together, they suffer together, and Damon, for once, doesn't need to impress Bonnie. He just has to show up, and he does. By season 6, he chooses to be trapped in another world with her rather than leave her alone. And for a guy who spent most of his life avoiding responsibility, I think that decision says everything. This is one of the most interesting turns in Damon's arc, because Bonnie starts out hating him, with good reason. He hurts her friend, and he disrespects her, and he treats her like a means to an end. And slowly over time, something changes. They go through things together, real things, and without any romantic tension to complicate it. Their bond starts to feel genuine. It's one of the few relationships where Damon shows consistent loyalty just because he cares. Even Catherine, who ruined him and manipulated him, he never quite lets go of her, because loving her broke him, and it also shaped him. She was the first person who made him feel wanted, and the first person who taught him that love can be cruel. But maybe all of this goes back even deeper, to his parents. Damon's relationship with his father was cold and abusive. It's not just that Damon was unloved, it's that he was loved conditionally. Only if he behaved, if he was useful, if he didn't feel too much. And that's how complex trauma works. You don't grow up learning how to ask for love. You learn how to perform pain instead. Because pain gets attention, and chaos gets control. He was never the favorite son. He was never enough. His mother abandoned him, chose to become a vampire, and left her human family behind. So, before Damon even becomes the bad boy, he's already the kid who's been told explicitly and implicitly that love isn't safe, that closeness equals pain, and no one will ever stay with him. Of course, that doesn't excuse what he becomes, but it does explain the script he's been following his entire life. That people should be pushed away, that you should hurt them before they hurt you. And if they stay, maybe, just maybe, you're worth something. That's why Damon is impossible to categorize. He's not a villain, but calling him a hero erases too much. What he is human. Ironically, he's flawed, reactive, desperate. He's loyal and cruel and charming at the same time. But he's also capable of loving. He's capable of deep love that shakes him to his core. And I think the real genius of his character, especially in the earlier seasons, was that the show never asked us to pick a side with him. It asked us, though, to look at him and sit with the discomfort. Because Damon doesn't teach us what to want in a person. He teaches us how easy it is to confuse pain with depth, to confuse control with passion, and redemption with good editing. And this is why rewatching the show as an adult hits so differently. When I was younger, I saw Damon's pain as poetic. But now I see how deeply it shaped his every move. Okay, let's be clear about one thing. It's okay to love Damon on screen. It's okay to swoon, to rewatch The Rain Kiss, to quote his one-liners, to scream at the TV when he finally gets the girl. That's what fiction is for. It lets us explore dangerous emotions in a safe place. But the second we start confusing characters like Damon with people we should actually date or trust, that's when it gets dangerous. Because the Damon type exists in real life. He's not always a vampire, but you'll recognize the pattern. This isn't just about girls falling for bad boys. This dynamic shows up in all kinds of relationships. Regardless of gender or orientation, if someone makes you feel like their pain is your responsibility, if they mix vulnerability with volatility, if they punish you and then pull you back in with just enough softness to make you question yourself, that's a Damon. And Damons are seductive, but they're not safe. Here's how you know you've met one. They make dramatic confessions that leave you feeling like the chosen one. They hurt you and then cry about how hard it was for them to do it. They turn accountability into intimacy. They make you feel needed, but never secure. They say, "I warned you I would ruin you," like it's so romantic. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Because when someone mixes chaos with charm, it feels like depth. But that's not depth, that's emotional manipulation with better lighting. And no matter who you are, you deserve love that doesn't leave you questioning your worth every 5 minutes. We've all been charmed by someone who's bad for us. Hell, we still root for them on TV. That's okay. You can love Damon Salvatore and still choose to protect yourself in the real world. The screen is fantasy. Your life deserves reality. Healthy love is often boring at first. It doesn't have the chaos and the danger and the brooding declarations under moonlight. But at least it doesn't leave you anxious or questioning your worth. It's not epic, it's steady. And that's what makes it safe to grow in. So keep Damon where he belongs. In fiction, in fan edits, in those beautiful broken close-ups. Just not in your phone, not in your bed, not in your life. Because the most powerful thing you can do is walk away from the chaos. Not because it doesn't seduce you, but because you can finally see it for what it is. If you made it this far, tell me, do you think Damon was more villain or more hero? And if there's another complicated character you would want me to dive into, please drop their name in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe.
Hello, brother.